So we're going to move on to our next section. In coming up with this workshop, Marjorie and I brainstormed some barriers that caregivers may come across when it comes to using art in care, in your caregiving. So just jump into the first one here. The idea that art or the arts is just for artsy types. Mm-hmm. So for some people, art can just feel so daunting because they don't identify as being artistic. But if we were to replace the word art with creativity, I think that we can lessen that daunting feeling and make it feel more accessible for everyone. We'll find that being creative and creativity itself is a very human quality that we all possess. So perhaps you're not feeling like you're so skilled with paint or pencil crayons, but you may be creative in other areas of your life. So you may have good culinary skills, or perhaps you like gardening, or perhaps you have really great business skills. And those are all areas that will require creativity in your daily life. So.
Exactly. And ultimately, I think we need to dispel this myth and realize that the arts are for everyone. They're for all of us. Mm-hmm. So, and just focus on that creativity aspect.
Yeah, so we have a short video that we're going to play that kind of touches on that topic.
Okay, so here we go.
I'm constantly looking at things and saying, what is art? I don't know. I mean, 86, I bet, well, nearly 87 next week. I really ought to begin to make up my mind, but I don't know. I haven't done yet. Well, till yesterday, I didn't like modern art, but I went to the Picasso, so I've changed my mind. I don't like unmade beds and things, but I do like craftsmanship.
In the 21st century, the arts are ubiquitous. So every newspaper has an arts section, and there are now over 300 different arts festivals across the UK, and more every year, I think. And yet there's still not a lot of consensus about what the arts actually are. So the dictionary says that they're imaginative and non-scientific branches of knowledge. I'm not sure that I agree with that entirely. Tolstoy wrote a small volume called What is Art that I've always found quite helpful. And he talks about how art is a means of union among men. So it joins us together. To answer personally, I would say that the arts help me and help maybe all of us to clarify things which are otherwise a bit disparate, that they offer a sense of harmony and unity in our worlds, and that they also help us deal with things which are often appalling.
I think in all societies and through all time, the arts are present. They are part of us. You know, we find cave paintings, and you know, people decorated their dwellings in ways that we continue to recognise now, and are not hugely dissimilar. I think some of the oldest musical instruments that have been found are flutes, things that we would recognise, and these flutes are between 42 and 43,000 years old. That's you know, the arts are absolutely part of us. They are a way for us to reflect on and to communicate what it is to exist as human beings in this world, and ways for us to make sense of that experience, and also to communicate that to other people. There are ways for us to connect with and express our emotions and ideas as well.
When we think about cave paintings, do we think about artists? Do we think that they were artists? And I think often we don't think of that culture as being artistic, but in fact, they were artistic and they were creative and they expressed what was going on in their world using creativity. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I also like where it talks about how it gives us an opportunity to process what's going on within ourselves, within our lives, and even the world around us. I think that's important as well.
Yeah. Second barrier that we talked about was the idea of, I don't know what to use or what to do. It can seem really daunting to know what to use or what to do if you don't often make art. So what we've provided for you is a handout of recommended supplies, which will look similar to this. I'm just going to quickly run through these art supplies that I've listed. I've kept it at an easy list of 10, which are easily accessible, easy to find in either a dollar store or Walmart or Michael's kind of store. So I'll start off the list with watercolor paint and brush. I've got this one here. It's just a Crayola Kids paint, but it comes with a brush in it. And it was like, I don't know, $4 or something like that. I think I got that one at Michael's. And if you're finding that this particular paint palette, just open it up and show here. If aiming for those little palettes, or if that's too small for someone to aim at, then you can also pick up these like tempera pucks. They're not super expensive either, and they're available in a variety of colors. And also water soluble. And
cleanup.
What's that?
Easy cleanup.
Easy cleanup, yeah, and easy to aim at for people that may be struggling with some of their fine motor skills. So the next thing on the list I can put down is paper, which doesn't have to be fancy paper. I know fancy papers are available, but you don't have to feel forced to buy those. You can just use regular old computer printer paper. Scissors are pretty self-explanatory, although I do find that some clients really like the ones with the bigger handholds like this, and then some prefer the smaller handhold. And in my own work, it seems that it depends on how safe a person is feeling in using the scissors. So if they're not feeling as safe, they tend to use the little ones. It's a personal preference kind of thing. So yeah, use your own discretion for that. Glue, I've got 2 different kinds of glue here. So the glue stick, I tend to use this Elmer's glue, which is purple. And when you put it on the paper, you can see where you've put the glue, which is a good thing for aging eyes that may have a hard time seeing where things are on the page.
Exactly.
Yeah. And for liquid glue, again, I've got Elmer's here. I tend to like the shape of their bottles because it's this shape, which is easier to squeeze. I did have some glue in bottles that was more like this shape, just plain old round shape, and it was hard for my clients to squeeze. So there's just something about that shape.
It's a good tip.
Yeah. Markers, pencil crayons, wax crayons. I put them all kind of in the same category. Use your own, preference for that. Markers, of course, come in different sizes. So these are the nice thick ones. If you have someone that has a hard time holding the thinner items, I do like these ones because you can get a wider mark with them or a thinner mark. Those ones are called Crayola Super Tips. Again, Crayola. I like Crayola because it's built to withstand some abuse, and has really nice bright colors. So is that, and then the wax crayons, which we haven't invented smell-o-vision yet, but if you could smell this box, you would know that it smells like kindergarten or grade 1. It smells like school. So if you have someone that really liked their school days, they may actually really enjoy using wax crayons simply because of the smells and the memories that come back with the smell.
Yeah, it's very distinctive. And of course, with people with dementia, the more of the five senses that you have involved in the experience, often the more it brings out that emotional memory and experience.
Yeah. And then in a similar vein, the pencil crayons will do the same thing because they have that wood smell, and even the action of sharpening the pencil crayon can bring back memory as well. So,
right.
There's that. Construction paper, easy to find. It's quite a tough paper. Bright colors, easy to work with, not too expensive. And then similar but different, there's tissue paper, which also comes in nice bright colors. But the nice thing with tissue paper is that there's a real tactile element to it because it can be squished.
Yeah, tactile sound also too that it makes as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to cut. It has a different kind of texture when you cut it. So, and there's lots of things that you can make with it. Stickers, never too old for stickers. There's something about peeling and sticking. It's just fun.
Yeah.
And then the optional supplies I've listed too. I've listed a coloring book, which these are quite easy to find right now because adult coloring books are very popular. So I've got this one, kind of a adult theme, just looks like that. And if you're finding that the pictures are too busy, the patterns are too busy, you can always find something that's a bit more simple for the person that you're working with. And the other thing on the list is Play-Doh. So I think in the handout that we're giving out now, we have the Play-Doh recipe on it, so you can make your own at home. Of course, there's always store-bought Play-Doh, which has the tactile element to it. It's fun to just squish and make things, and yeah, 3D.
Exactly. Again, the more of those senses involved, the better for people with dementia. And that's one of the things I think that we've found why art is so beneficial for them, is because it does include so many of the five senses in each sort of creative endeavor or experience.
Yeah. Also included in the handout, I've made a list of things that you can collect. So there's natural supplies and reading materials and 3D objects, printed memorabilia, all these things that are kind of fun to have around the house. I like to collect, especially natural things at the beach, whatever, because if my clients no longer have the ability to go outdoors, I try to bring the outdoors into them so that they're not missing out on having those natural elements in their life. So I've got, little collected jars of beach glass and pebbles and stuff. And it's fun for them to just sift through and either make art with it or just enjoy the action of sifting through and treasure hunting, these little things that are here. So.
And for those people who have a penchant for sorting, it's also a perfect thing too, right? They can sort things according to color, size, shape, and that's an activity in and of itself.
Yeah, name it. Yeah, so we've done materials, aids and techniques. Okay, if you want to jump to the other screen, I just needed the reminder.
That's okay.
So I've got this as an aid. This is just something from the dollar store in the pet area, tennis ball, that I've cut holes into so that you can put the brush through, or a marker. It works with markers and pencils and stuff too, so that they can hold on to the skinny item more easily. And then if need be, as a technique, you can always put your hand over top of theirs and then move the instrument for them. And if that's not quite working, there's always the option, if you've got a piece of paper in their hand, you can always move the paper for them to get them to be marking on the paper.
Yeah, I remember working that way with a client that we had who had dementia, but had also had a stroke, and so had limited use of their hands. And that technique of them holding the tennis ball with the paintbrush and me moving to the paper and me moving the paper underneath was really effective. And the client was thrilled. She was just so happy with the result. It was wonderful to see.
That's great. Sounds like a good collaboration between the two of you.
Exactly.
I forgot to mention that when you put your hand over top, it's called hand over hand, but just to clarify that for some people, if they were wondering what hand over hand means. And then as another aid, we've got the little spritz bottle here, which works well for the watercolor paints. If you're having a hard time getting them started, just spritz them down, make them wet ahead of time, and then the color will come off of them more easily and more quickly. And then I've also got, very simply, a Chinette plate. So for the 3D items that I mentioned that I collect, like this, I will often just pour them out on the plate, and then it makes it easier for people to sift through. The solid color background makes it easier for them to see, and then easy enough to put back into the jar, because all you have to do is this and funnel it back into the jar. So easy cleanup. There you go.